So, first of all, it's obvious to all of us already that today, what day it is. Today is, in one sense, the day of the devil. So this is October 31st, what people call in America Halloween. Other countries, they call it Dia de los Muertos in Spanish, the Day of the Dead. All around the world, people are celebrating something. We know, we should know at least, what's actually going on. What happens on Halloween? Well, I grew up in America where it's celebrated every year. We would put on costumes, we would put up decorations, we would put up like spooky things. We would carve these jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lanterns? What are those called? I don't know. I forgot how to speak English. Those pumpkins, we would carve like scary faces on them. We would put up skeletons, bats, dark things. We would dress up like witches. It's all meant to be spooky and kind of like about death and kind of about like ghosts and kind of about like, but here's the thing, it's all a joke. Nobody takes it seriously. So like people dress up like devils, little kids wearing devil costumes, like witches, and it's like skeletons and all this stuff, and it's a game. I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that we should never, ever joke about, it's death and the devil and demons and the darkness that lies beyond the grave. My Lord, if anybody had any idea of the reality of those things, they would never dare to joke about it. They would never dream of such a foolish, ignorant, wicked thing to make a joke out of something that is so heavy, so serious, so sobering, so terrifying that no sane person would ever make light of it if they had any idea what they were talking about. So what can we learn from that? What does it show us? It shows us that the world is entirely deceived. Entirely deceived. The most serious things in the universe, they make it a joke. They make it a game. They make it a holiday to go and have fun, to go and drink beer with their friends, to go and the kids go door to door knocking, asking for candy. They have parties at school. Even churches will have kids come and dressed up in costumes and have this big festival. They make it all a big joke and a big game. What does it show us? It shows that they're absolutely and utterly blind. Absolutely and utterly deceived. They are so blind, they don't know their right hand from their left. They don't know what is up and they don't know what is down. They don't know what is true and they don't know what is a lie. They are absolutely the playthings of the devil. They are the toys of Satan and they do not even know it. They are being played like puppets on, like those, what do you call those things? The muo on a stage. They have no idea. And they play along with it, and they laugh and they have a good time, not realizing that they themselves are the biggest fools. And you know where their ultimate foolishness is? They don't even think it's real. They don't think there's anything to it. And if they do, they don't take it seriously. They make it a game and a joke. I remember this has happened to me many times when I would be going and sharing the gospel with people, maybe on the street somewhere, and they will say, "Oh yeah, I'm not afraid of going to hell. I'm going to go to hell, and all my friends are going to be there. We're going to have a big party." Oh, I know I'm going to hell. I'm going there with my friends. Everybody's going to hell. They make it a joke. You know what it shows? They are absolutely and utterly blind, deceived, hard-hearted. They take the most serious things in the universe and make it a joke, make it a game, make it a thing for kids. Are you kidding me? You make this stuff a game for children? You know, Halloween is all about kids in the West. The kids go door to door trick-or-treating and wearing costumes. Adults do it as well, but the whole thing is a joke. There was a guy who was an Olympic runner, and he won medals in the Olympics a long time ago. And later he was in I think it was World War II. He was an American. And he had a plane wreck, and he later got captured by the Japanese. His name was Louis Zamperini. And he was taken captive by the Japanese, and he was in their prison camps. He ended up going all the way to Japan. He was first in the South Pacific, and he was on a few different islands, and he got shipped all the way as an American prisoner of war all the way to Japan. And he was put in a certain prison camp there under a certain warden of the prison who was such a wicked man. He was literally insane. Literally insane. And he got absolute delight and pleasure out of one thing: making the prisoners absolutely miserable, tortured, terrified. And for some particular reason, he really hated Louis Zamperini. He hated him. And he would bring him into his office and treat him like a king. And then he would quickly turn on him, and he would beat him, and he would torture him, and he would kick him and spit on him and do every sort of torture you could imagine, absolutely humiliating him, bringing him within an inch of death. And then he would suddenly change. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean it. Oh, I'm sorry. I love you. Cry and hug him, or whatever he would do. And they called this guy the Bird. He was absolutely demented, wicked, a terror to every man in the camp. And when the Bird was not there, you think they made jokes about him? You think they had a game where they played beating one another like the Bird? Do you see my point? No, this was reality. The Bird was real. This prison guard was real. He was an absolute terror to all the men. And he could kill them at any moment if he wants. But it seems he didn't want to kill them. He just wanted to make them utterly terrified, utterly miserable. And that's a picture of the devil. Except the difference is, humanity is so foolish and so deceived. There's this devil who's there. He's invisible, but he's there. And he's the one behind all the murder and all the sickness and all the rape and all the abortion and all the drug abuse and all the child abuse and all the corruption and all the evil things in this world. He's the one behind suicide. He's the one behind every sort of mental disorder and drug addiction and every sort of disease. And every year, on a special day, everybody gets together and makes a big party and celebrates and makes a joke about the one who's doing it all. Are you serious? It makes it like a game, like it's not actually happening, like we're living in paradise, like this world is just a wonderful place, like none of those things are actually happening. You know how many babies were aborted, murdered in the womb today? Around the world, thousands of murders took place today. Murders. People's heads were cut off today. People were shot with guns and killed for no reason. Murdered today. You know how many children, little children, were killed, beat to death today, or maybe raped today, sexually abused today? You know how many people committed suicide around the world today alone? How many people used drugs today? How many people committed every sort of filthy, unclean thing sexually around the world? You know what's going on with wars? You know there's wars going on right now? Right now? Myanmar and other places around war. Wars and rumors of war. People killing one another, and they don't even know why. One group of young men shooting at another group of young men, and they don't know why, just because the person above them told them, go and shoot and kill. They don't have any stake in this matter. They're just little pawns. They're just little pieces on a chessboard being moved around. They don't even know what's moving them. They just say, oh, I should go and kill. You know there's children in Africa, children 8 years old with guns that blow people's brains out every day. This is not an exaggeration, it's a fact. It's been happening for decades in Africa. Children trained to kill. At the drop of a hat, they give them guns and they kill people. They kill, they murder children. Terrorism around the world. Every sort of evil, every sort of deception, every sort of lie, every sort of thing taking place. And behind all of it is the devil. And we make it a joke. That's ridiculous. You know what? It's a reflection of the absolute hardness of heart and blindness. That's the state of the world. Do you understand that? They're blinded. You cannot go to them as the authority for almost anything. They always present themselves as official. They always present themselves as very informed, very intellectual, very logical. Listen, these people are utterly blind. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. Now, maybe in specific fields, maybe they've studied medicine, they know a lot of medical information, they've studied history, they know a lot of facts of history. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their views on the world, their views on life, their value system, their way of looking at things, the way of interpreting reality, their way of interpreting history. They may know the facts of history, but they can't interpret it. They have no lens. Why? They're blind, utterly blind by Satan, utterly blind by the devil. They don't know what's going on. They can only have opinions. Oh, they have a lot of opinions. And they talk very confidently and very, very assuredly. This is what it is. They are absolutely blinded. They're speaking out of their own ignorance. How can they know what's going on when they don't even know there's a devil? When you deny the very existence of reality, it's impossible that you can arrive at the right conclusion about anything. When you deny the very facts of the real nature of the world, it's impossible that you can discern properly anything that's actually happening. Where it came from, what's going on, and where it's headed. It's impossible. You'll be wrong. Always wrong. You don't know the reality that from the very beginning of this world, there has been a battle going on. The very beginning of creation, it started in the garden. The devil came into the garden, and a battle began. And it's not stopped till this day. It's still going on. It's not over yet. Well, we know who won. We know who won the victory. We know who conquered. But the devil still goes about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. The Bible still says he's the God of this world. If we don't see that and realize that, then we cannot arrive to the proper conclusions about anything. We'll always be wrong. In our judgments, in our discernments, in our decisions, we have to know the true nature of what's going on. And the true nature is this: the world has lost its mind. The world has gone mad. They've gone mad. They've absolutely flipped out. They've turned everything upside down. They take what is evil and call it good, and they take what is good and they call it evil. They call darkness light, and they call light darkness. They call what is sweet bitter, and what is bitter sweet. This is a fact, what I'm saying. It's not just my opinion. This is actually the actual literal case of the world right now, and nothing proves it more than October 31st. That people make a joke and a game and a celebration of such utter wickedness, murder. They're celebrating murder. They're celebrating abortion. They're celebrating suicide. They're celebrating depression. They're celebrating every sort of sexual immorality. They're celebrating child abduction. They're celebrating slavery. They're celebrating every sort of wicked thing, witchcraft, idolatry. They're celebrating all the darkest, most evil, destructive, hurtful things in the entire universe, and they make it a joke. They make it a game. And let me prove my case again. The moment you take these things seriously, you will be marked as a madman, as a fool, as a fanatic, as an idiot. The moment you take it seriously, the moment you take death seriously, the moment you take life seriously, the moment you take evil seriously, the moment you take the devil and all those things seriously, they will say, you've lost your mind. Only proving how insane they really are. Proving how blind they are. The very one who's seen the light, they want to kill you. They want to stamp out the light and say there is no light. There's a case in 2018 with a doctor in the UK named David Macarith. He's a Christian, and somehow there came up into his profession in the hospital a patient who was, I believe, was a woman that wanted to be called a man, or a man that wanted to be called a woman. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it's somebody who, let's just say it's a woman that wanted to be called a man. Biologically, a woman. You know, there's a difference between a woman and a man. It's pretty obvious. Okay, it's a fact. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Otherwise, these terms would not exist. It's a scientific, medical, physical fact. But there was a woman that insisted that Dr. David Macarith would call her he and speak to him as a man, sir. David Macarith, he's a Christian and he's a doctor. And both of those positions make it impossible for you to do that. Number one, if you're a doctor, you know what's the word? Anatomy. And not, I forget my English, man. You know the physical body's makeup. And as a Christian, you don't tell lies. Right? And it got so heated and so serious, he was mocked, ridiculed in the entire nation, and he was fired from his job. The whole world has gone mad. Now listen, a little kid knows that that is ridiculous. Wait, that's a boy, right? And that's a girl, yes. You know the difference? Yes. A little boy knows it. No, but now you must call that a girl a boy and must call that boy a girl. And if you don't, we're going to punish you. What? Just imagine a little kid facing this sort of a situation. They would think, that's ridiculous. That's dumb. They wouldn't even take you seriously. They think, oh, no, of course. It's just pure insanity. Number one, to do it is the most confusing, psychotic, ridiculous, absurd possible thing. But number two, to back up your insistence with threats, saying, no, I mean it. You must do it. If you don't, you will be severely punished. You believe you are out of your mind. Precisely. Only problem is, it's the whole world now has lost its mind. And anyone who dares to keep their mind becomes an enemy. And they call you the fool. They call you the insane one. They call you the bigot. They call you the blind one. How more twisted can it be? That is insanity. Yes, precisely. The world is insane. You say, well, it hasn't come to Indonesia yet. Yes, it has, and yes, it will. It's here, not as strongly as the West, and it's making inroads, and it will continue. It's the spirit of this age. Insanity. Deny what's obvious and insist on what's not. And persecute anyone who dares to maintain a different position than your insanity. Who's behind this? Who do you think? The father of lies, the devil. He's a liar from the beginning. His native language, it says in the NIV, is lies. His native language, when he opens his mouth, it's always a lie. He's the God of this age, the Bible says. The God of this age. He's the one working. He's the spirit at work in the sons of disobedience. Who are the sons of disobedience? Everyone who's not a disciple of Jesus Christ is a son of disobedience because they're not obeying God. And who is their father? Their father's the devil. They are children of Satan, and they don't even know it, and they even deny his existence. Just another obvious evidence that the world has lost its mind, has gone mad, is what we've seen in this thing called so-called same-sex marriage. Now, number one, that sentence doesn't make any sense. If it's the same sex, then it's not marriage. There's no such thing as same-sex marriage. If two people of the same sex are together, that's not marriage. It cannot be marriage. That defies the very definition of marriage, which is a man and a woman in a covenantal relationship, a lifelong covenantal committed relationship. That's a marriage. It's impossible for a man to be married to a man and a woman to be married to a woman. You might as well be married to a rock or be married to a dog. But if you start saying, well, I'm married to a rock, you say, well, maybe you love that rock and you're committed to that rock, but that's not marriage. Precisely. It's impossible for a man to be married to a man and a woman to be married to a woman. That's not marriage. For 6,000 years of world history, nobody has ever called that marriage. Never. Ever. Now, there's always been homosexuality, but there was never calling that marriage. But now, not only will we call it marriage, but you also must call it marriage. You must acknowledge our marriage. You must accept our marriage. You must bake our wedding cake. You must agree with us, support us, and if you dare not, no, it's not just about letting us do our own thing anymore. Now you also have to come out and say, yes, I agree. This is marriage. What is this? This is absolute insanity. Insanity. Now, it's funny because you will see that the same politicians who are now so aggressively promoting this thing. Now they're not even talking about it so much in America. It's just accepted fact. It's already normal. That's sick. 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 Evil. Dark. Demented. Perverted beyond any description. God have mercy. But not only will they delude themselves and say, we're married. Okay, you married to the video camera. It's not called marriage. Just call it something else. Don't call it marriage. It's not marriage. No, I call it marriage, and you must too, or I'll kill you. That's the Spirit now at work. Not only am I deluded, you must follow me in my delusion. And if you will not follow me in my delusion, not only am I deceived, you must be deceived as well. But I'm not deceived. I don't see it that way. I know the truth. No, you cannot know the truth. You cannot see it the way you see it. You cannot continue to walk in what is reality anymore. No, you must follow me into a delusional reality. And if you don't, you will be persecuted. You will be isolated, alienated. You will lose your job. This is what's happening all around the world, especially in the West. Not as much here in Asia, but all over the West. Every day this sort of thing is happening. What is going on? What is that? Well, the devil knows that his time is short. And the world has gone mad. The Bible tells us, 2 Corinthians 4:3, even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this age has blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them. The God of this age, which is Satan, has blinded their minds. Their minds are broken and their eyes are shut. They cannot see. John 8:48 says, you are of your father the devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks from his own nature. This is the New King James. The NIV says he speaks his native language, something like that. He speaks from his own nature, for he is a liar and the father of lies. There's a war going on. Genesis 3:14. After Satan came into the garden, attacked God by attacking God's representative, Adam and Eve, and he went to the weaker vessel, which was the woman, because God had spoken to Adam directly, not to Eve. Eve was the more vulnerable one. Adam was supposed to protect her. Adam was supposed to be her kind of like her shield, her covering, the husband. And he failed, and Eve was deceived. And then the Lord spoke in 3:14, Genesis 3:14, because you've done this, he's talking to the serpent. So the Lord God said to the serpent, because you've done this, you are cursed more than all cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Here it is. This is the announcement of the ongoing battle and war between the forces between the kingdom of God and the forces of darkness. Well, we see here a prophecy how the Son of God will bruise his head, but you shall bruise his heel. That refers to the cross. And the bruising of the head refers to how through the cross, Jesus crushed the serpent. And the God of peace shall soon crush Satan underneath your feet, it says at the end of the book of Romans. So we see this at the very beginning, and we see this battle going on throughout the whole Bible. And it picks up again, in particular, in Revelation chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 1. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then, being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great, fiery, red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his head. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God and his throne. Then the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. So we see here from the very beginning, there's a battle going on. The red dragon is Satan, and this woman is Israel, gives birth to the Messiah, and the dragon is right there ready to devour him. Now, how did that play out in history? Does anybody know? How was the devil there ready to devour this child that was born? Through Herod. Remember, Herod gave the order to kill all the male childs within 2 years of age. He slaughtered them, but God was a step ahead of him and got his son out of there before the slaughter came. But the devil was there to devour. He failed. But there's a war. And verse 7, and war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. But they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This is scary stuff. There's a battle going on in heaven between the angels of God and between the forces of darkness. And the devil obviously loses and is cast down to where? To the earth. And he's the one who deceives the whole world. Now we understand why people are so crazy, right? It makes sense why people are so out of their minds. Why they would call right wrong and wrong right. Why they would call a boy a girl and a girl a boy. Why they would call something like being with your pet goat marriage. People are insane to that point now. There's people that actually believe in something called gender fluid. On one day you can be a girl, another day you can be a boy. They actually believe that. How is it possible they could believe that? They're deceived. That's the only way possible. It's not scientific. It's not logical. It's not even possible. It's insanity, but it's becoming normal. Why? Because the devil's been cast down to the earth, bringing chaos, deception to the entire world. And things are getting perpetually worse, incrementally worse, significantly worse. Listen to this. It says here, in verse 10, then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren who accused them before our God day and night has been cast down. And they overcame him, the saints, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they did not love their lives to the death. And I want to say that's the only way to overcome the devil, because he is much stronger than any one of you and I. But the blood of the Lamb and the word of the gospel will overcome him every single time, because Jesus Christ has dealt with him, has conquered him, has vanquished him, has destroyed his power, has annihilated his power through his blood shed on the cross and rising from the dead. And we can overcome by sharing in his death and sharing in his resurrection, by repenting and turning and trusting and believing and following. His death becomes our death, and his life becomes our life. His resurrection becomes our resurrection, and his victory becomes our victory. But outside of Christ, you are in great danger. Verse 12, therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and to the sea, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has a short time. Look at what's going on all around us in the politics and the nations and all the situations with COVID and all the politics and the riots and the chaos that's going on. What's going on here? The devil knows his time is short. And we are seeing the power of darkness. I've been on this earth for several decades now, several decades now, and I've never seen anything like what's happening right now. It's never happened in my lifetime. My parents are in their mid-70s, and they've never seen anything like this in their lifetimes. Everybody who's been around knows this is different. This has never happened before. What's going on? The devil is filled with wrath because he knows that he has a short time. So we're seeing chaos, insanity, deception explode, persecution, just darkness. And sadly, we are seeing some Christians, many Christians, as asleep as ever. Sometimes, in many cases, even more asleep. You know, when I saw this happening, it alerted me. I thought, oh my goodness, COVID, the whole world is shut down. This is crazy. This cannot just happen by accident. God's doing something new. Something new has come on the horizon. We got to be awake and alert and watch what's coming. And I would start talking to Christians in other places and find they're absolutely asleep. They are not afraid. They're not nervous. I'm not saying we should be afraid in a negative way, but we should be alert. Whoa, something's going on here. I got to get ready. I don't know what's going to happen. Something's happening. Things are happening. We got to be alert. We got to be ready. We must be sober and vigilant because our adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Nope, I'm not afraid. Oh, no, it's no big deal. Oh, it's nothing. No, your eyes are shut. It's not about being afraid of COVID. It's looking at what's going on with this whole thing. It's looking at the bigger picture. It's looking at the fact that all the churches in the whole world just shut down around the world at the same time. That can't just happen. That can't just happen by itself. It's not an accident. God is doing something here. Something's going on here. Something big, something major, something global, something eternal. Oh, no, I'm not afraid of COVID. It's just this or that or whatever. No. You're not seeing the bigger picture. Verse 13, now when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given to 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood. The devil is just full of hatred, full of venom, just wants to kill, steal, and destroy. Every vestige of righteousness, of goodness, of truth, of right and wrong, he wants to obliterate it from the face of the earth. He doesn't want anything left. He doesn't want anything right to be left. He wants it all twisted backwards, upside down, perverted, twisted, and evil. That he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So that's where we're at. The devil is angry. And it's just any day now, where now all the insanity we see taking place and breaking out on a global scale, it's any day now where all the energy of this darkness and this evil is going to turn towards the Christians. That's what it says here. The dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring. Now, he's already making war with us. There's no question about that. He has been and will be and always will until the final day. But we see a time coming in history where there's going to be a special concentrated effort to destroy the people of God. We saw it in the history where where Hitler tried to destroy the Jews. We saw it in the Bible in the book of Esther, where Haman tried to destroy the people of God. Listen, it's always the devil behind it, and it's still the devil behind it today, and the day is likely to come again where all the energy and the effort of this great force of insanity and darkness is going to turn its efforts particularly and specifically against Christians, against believers, against the church. We see it happening slowly already, but I think it could get much worse than it is already. We have to be ready for it. That's why turn to 1 Peter 5:8. It's a very key verse for the day that we're living in right now, the times that we're living in right now. 1 Peter 5:8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now, he's writing that to Christians, because if we are not right, if we are not walking in the light, if we are not obeying God, if we are not following God's will, if we allow ourselves and let our guards down and get lazy, get sloppy, get cold, start backsliding, it's possible that we become his prey and are devoured. Therefore, we must resist him, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in the world. That's kind of indicating that one of the ways the devil is coming against the Christians is through persecution. Persecution. Be sober, be vigilant. He walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Resist him. How? Be steadfast in the faith. Be strong in the word. Be rooted and grounded in truth. Know in whom you have believed. Know to whom you have entrusted your soul. Have a life of prayer. Have a private life with God. Have a prayer life. Seek God in the secret place. Pray, fast, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Let's turn to James chapter 4. Verse 7. Therefore, submit to God. Resist the devil. You have to fight the fight. He won't just go away. There is a real fight, and we have to put forth effort, resistance. Listen, do you know why people out there don't know there's a devil and they're celebrating him tonight without even realizing it? Do you know why the devil doesn't just come out and say, "Here I am"? Because he can do his work much better in the dark. He does his work much more successfully when he goes undetected. He does not want to be exposed. In America, most people don't believe there's a devil. They have no idea of a devil. Many Christians have no reality. They have no concept that there's a devil we have to deal with. In Asia, I think there's much more people believe in like Iblis and Satan or whatever, because there's so many more people getting demon-possessed, like at least visibly demon-possessed. But they still have the same coldness, callousness, lack of reality about it. But the devil operates in secrecy. You understand that? He doesn't want you to know his work. He doesn't want you to see how he's attacking you. He doesn't want you to know that it's him. He doesn't want you to know that it's him lying to you. It's him putting those wicked thoughts in your mind. It's him putting that rage on you, make you want to lose your temper. It's him putting that lustful thought upon you, that lustful thing coming in your room and at night in your bed. It's the devil. The devil doesn't want you to know it's the devil, because then you will resist him. I remember many years ago when I first saw this truth, So many things I was struggling with, so many oppressions that I felt, and just emotional oppressions, and just, things that would, I had no idea I was fighting the devil. That's why I could never overcome. And the day that I saw it was a devil, I was free. Well, it's the devil. I know I have authority over the devil. I'll just drive him out in Jesus' name. The problem is when he goes undetected, you don't know what you're fighting against. We need to be sober and vigilant and know there's a devil. And we need to be able to discern his works, discern his lies, discern his attacks. So therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. It's a powerful verse here. Powerful, powerful verse. But in particular, we need to understand we are in the middle of a war, and we do have a battle to fight, and we do have a part to play. Let's look at another verse in Ephesians chapter 6. We need to understand that this concept is throughout the Bible. We see everywhere on every page in the Gospels that Jesus was dealing with demons, wasn't he? Casting out demons right and left. In the book of Mark, in fact, it summarizes his ministry by saying he preached and cast out demons. It doesn't even mention the healing part. Now, it does talk about the miracles he did, but I'm just saying that it put his ministry categorized by preaching and casting out demons. That's how often he was doing it. What was going on? He found demons everywhere. Do you see that? He found a demon in the synagogue. The first sermon he preached in the book of Mark, there's a demon manifesting in the back of the church. Can you imagine that? In the church, a demon. Yeah, that's the reality. They were there all along. Well, what happened? When Jesus came, they were exposed. The light came and now they're exposed. The darkness was there all the time. The devil was always there. But when Jesus came, it's like there's demons everywhere in Israel. How did all these demons get in Israel? Well, they were always there. But when the light of the world came, it exposed the darkness. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints. Sometimes I think we could read this every day. You could take a verse like this and meditate on it every day. You need it every day. You're fighting a battle every day. The devil is real every day. Now, it's not the devil himself that's attacking, but he has many demons. The devil can only be in one place at a time. He's not sovereign. He's not omnipotent. He's limited. But there's demons everywhere. Demons, I don't know how it works, but there's a lot of demons. They're fallen angels or something, and they are able to go all over the place. You could go out on a mountain alone and the devil will be there. I mean, he was when Jesus was in the wilderness, wasn't he? Jesus went out, way out in the wilderness, right? Should be, just me and God. Nope, the devil followed him all the way there. And you know what? The devil will follow you into your closet alone as well. I have had times in my life where I was on my knees praying out to God and the most wicked thoughts came into my mind and temptations and different things like that. I mean, it's just insane. The devil will follow you. But if you don't know it's a devil, you know what you're going to do? You're going to feel terrible. You're going to feel bad. You might even be tempted to go and do something sinful. But you have to understand you're fighting a battle with a real evil spirit that hates you and wants your soul. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. We need real power to overcome a real enemy. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against what? The wiles, the tricks, the deceptions, the lies of the devil. Because we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against principalities and powers. These are demonic forces. These are like demonic kingdoms in the invisible realm. Do you realize that there's a demonic kingdom that's set up like it's invisible, but a kingdom of darkness? It's organized. They have different like commanders here and commanders there, and then like soldiers. I mean, it's something, I don't know exactly how it is. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly, but we know that there's something, it's telling us right here. There's like a hierarchy. There's like an organization of the power of the devil. He's not just like out there playing games, man. He's serious about this. He's fighting to the death. He's fighting for your soul. And he's got an organization, he's got a structure, he's got strategies, he's got plans, he's got demons on assignment. Thank God, God has angels on assignment. Though we have a part to play in this battle, and we are not wrestling against flesh and blood. Yes, our conflict is often with men, but we're not fighting men. We're fighting demons that are working through the men. This is where we often get it wrong. We think, oh, it's my mom, she's my enemy. Your mom's not your enemy. Maybe the devil's using your mom, but it's not your mom, it's the devil. Or, oh, it's my brother. It's not your brother, it's the devil. Or it's my sister. It's not your sister, it's the devil. It's the devil. The devil is the one working. We're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So think about it. Like, when we see what's going on around the world, just look at the economy, how it works. People grow rice in Indonesia, and then China buys it, and it goes on boats, and then money comes to Indonesia, and there's like a whole process where the economy around the world operates. They dig some minerals out of the ground in Indonesia, and they buy it in China, and money comes here, and then they buy from China this or that, and then there's a whole process of the economy. Now, it's a global economy. The economy is internationally connected, and there's different powers and people in charge that are, one is taking care of transportation, another is taking care of banking, another is taking care of farming, and there's high people, there's low people, there's a whole structure. There has to be, or it can never operate. And it's the same way with the devil. He has a structure and a system and a setup. And it somehow looks kind of like the kingdoms of the earth, because it's using those types of terms here: rulers, principalities. So we're not fighting against just a ghost. We're fighting against a kingdom. But we're serving the one who has overcome, who has conquered. Turn back to Revelation chapter 12. Let's finish with this verse. And let's look in particular at verse 10 and 11. This is powerful and it's glorious. Then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, "Now salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night, has been cast down. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death." Let's pray.